disturbing the peace. That single line sounded so powerful that I imagined the chorus would go something like this. Disturbing the Hello, my name is Moukala, and I'm a music producer and game composer, and also avid Persona fan. However, I still have not had the chance to play Persona 3 Reload, nor have I heard any of the music from the game, but I'm fixing that today. I keep hearing people talk about a song from Persona 3 Reload called It's Going Down Now, and I've checked on YouTube and on Spotify, and apparently It's Going Down Now seems to be the most popular Persona song ever made. I'm curious, does this track deserve the amount of love and streams that it's getting online? And does this track actually respect Shoji Meguro's legacy? Let's find out. Damn. Oh my god! Is that a remix? Wait, I'm already hearing this is like a remix of the original battle theme with a baby, but it's like put under this new processing. The technique that the composer used to reference Persona 3 here is called sampling. Sampling is when you take a chunk of music, like this for example, and you use that chunk as a foundation to create a new music piece, like this. Philosophically, sampling is used by artists when they want to create something that sounds modern and something that looks at the future, while at the same time honoring the past. In the case of Persona 3 Reload, the sample used here is the vocal ad-lib that we hear in the battle theme of the original Persona 3. However, you may have noticed that the way that they use the baby vocal in this Persona 3 Reload track is kinda weird. It sounds kind of like it clashes with the rhythm of the other instruments, and also it sounds quite dissonant compared to the rest of the track, like it's not belonging to the same world and the same harmony. This interesting approach they chose to use in Persona 3 Reload does not sound like a mistake to me, but it sounds more like an intentional choice. So this is Atlus and the composer's way to tell us, hey, Persona 3 Reload is a huge remix. And yes, we will try to keep the original in mind and pay nods and respects to it, but we'll do so by taking creative liberties and exploring new ground, so you better buckle up. Damn, dude! Okay. Wait, there's so much going on already, what the hell? The groove is like... What the... Dude, okay, what the hell? Okay, so this is just what, 20 seconds in this battle theme? And already it's clear this is one of the best RPG battle themes ever written. Now, I spent the last few years of my life writing music for several video game soundtracks, and I'm still doing that every day. And let me tell you, writing a piece of music that drags you in so intensely from the get-go is not easy at all. So how does this track lock us in so effectively? Well, if you're a long-time Persona 3 fan like myself, they had you at the baby already. As soon as you heard baby, you're like, okay, I'm locked in. But for any other person who is not Persona 3 pilled, I think the suspect is the groove. Let's talk about how they built it. As a first thing, the track starts at 168 BPM. So we have this sort of rhythm. And then we add some cool drums. Enter the funky bass lines. Time for guitars. The rhythm and the harmony that make up this groove are infused with Persona vibes. So much so that check out what happens when we juxtapose some lyrics from another Persona game onto the groove of this Persona 3 Reload track. How crazy is that? I mean, it just fits like a glove. One more component that gives this some strong Persona vibes is the big band brass that plays on top of the groove in the intro. So cool. Big band brass is used a lot as a musical spice across the Persona soundtracks. One track in particular that comes to mind is the remix of Specialist from Persona 4, which was arranged by the same composer who wrote It's Going Down Now, whose name is Atsushi Kitajo. Speaking of Persona 4, some time ago I had a client that asked me to write a theme for a game, and they wanted it to be badass and stylish at the same time. And so I instantly tried to write something that has Persona vibes in it, and I did so by using a cool guitar riff, some funky bass lines, and most especially some big band brass. And this is what it sounds like. I feel that the mere act of playing a lot of Persona games made me a better composer. But I digress. Let's get back to Persona 3 Reload. Another important part of the beginning of this track is that it marks the return of the king, Lotus Juice. And also, he sounds more fierce than ever on this track. I mean, consider this. Rap is an art form entirely based on rhythm, right? Now, when it comes to this track, I don't know if you've noticed, but the drummer is going quite insane. What the hell? It's so funky, it's so groovy, but most especially it's so freaking fast. So it kind of sounds like the drummer is challenging Lotus Juice, asking, hey, can you keep up with this? And Lotus Juice just answers, bet.
What are they thinking? Please explain it. Don't believe this crap you waste time. What opposites can copy.
What the hell?
Doing it better next level for one another regular. Better to my enemies and tuning. I'm breaking it down to the level molecular.
Dude, this guy is the definition of locked in. Now, simply hearing this makes you feel locked in as well. What an incredible intro for a piece of music. What the hell? What the hell just happened? Wow. Okay, there are many reasons why this chorus is freaking amazing, and to be fair, it took me a few listens to metabolize how epic this is. Now, one of the many reasons is of course the new vocalist Atsumi Takahashi, but before we talk about her, I want to talk about what I think is the unsung hero that gives this part the emotional depth that it has. Because see, the vocal performance by Atsumi is sort of like an adventurer that goes through an entire arc. However, the instrumental behind her is the environment in which this journey takes place. Now, what we have in the instrumental is some bass and guitars taking care of the harmony, and then there's also a beautiful piano playing a descending counter melody that accompanies Atsumi's vocals. If we were to take all that and transcribe it onto piano, this is what it would sound like. I don't know about you, but to me that sounds absolutely wonderful and uplifting. And if you want further proof of that, I created an orchestrated version containing only the harmonies. And this is what it sounds like. It's absolutely gorgeous. With such a rich landscape of emotions at her back, there's no question why Atsumi's performance hits so hard. I mean, she is incredible, and her vocals and the lyrics that she's singing are what makes this piece of music so relatable. However, what gives the depth of the message is the instrumental composition behind it. In a way, you can say that Atsumi's vocals are representing the main characters of the game and the way they portray themselves in public. But the instrumental are representing the much more complex fabric of what is within. Is that a reference to personas? Maybe. Maybe I'm just grasping at straws here. However, one thing is for sure, this is freaking wonderful. Speaking of vocals, going for a completely new singer for Persona 3 Reload was definitely a bold choice. I personally am a big fan of the original singer from Persona 3, Yumi Kawamura, and her voice really, to me, defines the game. This new singer, however, I think I like very much. Her voice has an interesting color. She sounds very determined, while at the same time sounds soft and melancholic. And her performance in this chorus, most especially the harmonies that she's singing on top of the melody, made me think of a genre of music called bossa nova. In fact, I just wrote a quick bossa nova arrangement of this chorus and placed her vocals on top of it to see if that would translate.
You stirred in the peace, look into my eyes. Now tell me the things you were laughing about behind my back. I hold this heart to break down. It's late or apologies is going down.
What the hell, dude? What the hell? Like, her vocal performance works perfectly on rock music and bossa nova music at the same time. Flawless. Yeah, she's great. She knows what she's doing. She's good. By the way, this is the second time I talk about bossa nova on the channel. And for those of you who really like this type of music, I would recommend you a band called the Kings of Convenience. And also, of course, the legendary João Gilberto. And now a few more facts about this chorus that blew my mind as I sat down to analyze it. One of my favorite aspects of this chorus is something that riffs around one of the most unique parts of Persona 3, which is its atmosphere. Now, let's listen to the chorus again and notice how the vibe subtly changes as we reach the end.
I hold this heart to break down. It's late for apologies is going down.
What just happened there? As the first thing, when she says it's going down now, we hear a string section playing some ominous trills. I'm talking about this. That is quite evocative already. On top of that, when Atsumi sings, it's too late for apologies, it's going down now, the harmony goes dark and moody out of nowhere, and that really helps into making her statements sound even more ominous. All of this is very implicit. However, if we were to rearrange this track in a sort of more jazzy vibe, this is what it would sound like. It's This is the stuff that gets me going because, in my opinion, all the best songs in video games are the ones that hide so many influences from so many genres in them. The idea of splashing some jazz noir vibes in the chorus of this song, to me, is absolute genius because of how well it matches Persona 3's aesthetic. Because Persona 3 is a game whose story mostly takes place at midnight. And when I think of musical genres that make me think about moody nights, I just think of noir jazz right away. So that, to me, is a perfect fit with Persona 3. I don't really recall this approach being used in the original Persona 3 soundtrack, so I personally appreciate the novelty. In fact, I've read on an interview with the composer of this track that one of the core themes for Persona 3 Reload as a game was nostalgic but new. However, Atsushi Kitajo made sure that he would respect Shoji Meguro's legacy, and I think the two had some back and forth talking about creative decisions when it comes to the soundtrack of this game. And apparently, Shoji Meguro is a person that really values individual creativity. That's what I understood from the interview. I still feel the composer of this track, however, really paid a lot of homage to the Persona series as a whole. In fact, remember that orchestrated version of the chorus that I played before? Check out what happens when we place some vocals from Persona 1 on top of it.
Until the dawn, nobody comes. Unbreakable, silence, lonely, hearts in the air. Until the dawn, nobody comes. Yeah.
Okay, how uncanny is that? Now, I would be remiss to make a video about this song without talking about the lyrics. In Persona music especially, I think lyrics are one of the reasons why the battle themes from the series are such earworms. Lyrics create a sense of relatability between us and the characters by defining their state of mind, their obstacles, and the willingness they have to face them head on. In the case of It's Going Down Now, the very first lyric we hear in the chorus is clearly spoken from the perspective of the main characters. I actually read some of these lyrics before listening to the song because I've seen so many people post the song by captioning "disturbing the peace" in like caps lock, and that single line sounded so powerful that I imagined the chorus would go something like this. Disturbing the that's kind of different from what it actually turned out to be, but that's the power I felt in that lyricism. As for the other lyric, now tell me the things you've been blabbing about behind my back. That feels so on brand for Persona because it feels like it's the main characters telling their enemies, you don't even have the courage to face me head on. You're just talking behind my back. You're nothing but a shadow. And that's on brand because the enemies in Persona are notably shadows. So this song is both painting the picture of what the game is, but at the same time it's also hyping us up in life and making us feel superior to the, dumb people we have to deal with sometimes. But what I like about this is that it does so in a way that is quite classy. Persona battle themes are the ultimate hype generator, most especially when our gameplay happens to sync perfectly with the beginning of their choruses, and we get stuff like this. I just love it when music in RPG games just syncs up with my characters' actions. Like, it makes me feel like I'm a protagonist in a shonen anime and the music is responding to my each and every move. That brings a lot of weight and immersion to the game itself, and it's absolutely epic. In fact, wouldn't it be cool if there was an RPG game where the music always synchronizes with what's happening during the battles, literally making you feel like you are playing a game and watching an epic shonen anime at the same time? That'd be sick. I mean, we have the technology to do it, so why isn't it a thing yet? That was the question that the sponsor of this video, DestinyBit, asked me personally some time ago. They're developing a brand new tactical RPG mecha game whose whole purpose in terms of gameplay is to make you feel like you are literally directing your own shonen anime as you have your characters fight their enemies. Like any shonen anime, the protagonists of this game are faced with some odds that feel almost impossible. And one of the main themes behind the game is the idea of overcoming your obstacles. As such, the director of the game asked me to create a soundtrack that would embolden the players to overcome their limits and basically fight for their lives, but in a way that feels epic, uplifting, and badass. So he personally tasked me to write a game soundtrack that would sound like it belongs to an anime show, and at the same time, he asked me to come up with an adaptive music system that would basically sync up and change the music based on what is happening on screen at all times, following the flow, the heat, and the drama of the battle. This was a tall order, but as a massive fan of mechs and anime, I just had to say yes. So yeah, I'm basically creating a soundtrack that is in big part inspired by games such as Persona, Xenoblade Chronicles, and Fire Emblem, as well as 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. It's been a challenge, but it's also been very fun so far. The game is called Nitro Gen Omega, and while we are still developing it, there is a free demo available right now at the Steam Next Fest. I'm gonna leave a link to the demo in the description of this video in case you wanna check it out. Thanks again to Destiny Bit for sponsoring this video. Now back to Persona 3. Dude, I freaking love these chords. Damn. Oh shit. Damn. That's sick. Okay, I spent quite a few days analyzing this song after that first listen, and this part quickly became my favorite. I mean, Lotus Juice can sing? Like, what the hell? The way he seamlessly makes the switch between his traditional rap, low rhythmic vocal style and this higher, more melodic vocal style in a second, like, that blew my freaking mind. This has the same impact as seeing a character switch from a persona that has dark skills to a persona that uses fire skills out of nowhere. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the lyrics that Lotus Juice wrote for this passage. I don't know if you took the time to read them outside of the song, but they go something like, "Hey doctor, doctor, he's about to be the patient because I'm about to knock him up cold." What the hell? What that sounds so edgy that it's actually ridiculous, or it would be ridiculous if it wasn't for the fact that Lotus Juice just made that super bold statement and then followed up with fire with that melodic verse. A guy that believes in himself this much, you just gotta believe in him too. There's also a moment in that melodic passage where Lotus Juice just randomly mentions dance floors, and that took me out for a second because I was like, hey, what the hell? This is a rock and rap hybrid of a piece of music. However, this whole track makes you want to dance from beginning to end, actually. And I asked myself, why is this such an incredible bop? Well, the entire reason why this track feels like such a danceable tune can be traced to syncopation. To explain syncopation very quickly with an example, let's take this melody playing here on a 4/4 beat. This sounds boring as hell. However, we can make things more interesting by using syncopated rhythms, meaning we take some of these melodic accents and we place them on the more unexpected parts of the rhythm, defying the listener's expectations. Notice the difference that makes? Also, yeah, that is how Burn My Dread from Persona 3 Original was written. This concept of syncopation is actually used in literally every instrument in It's Going Down Now. Another big reason why It's Going Down Now sounds so elegant and groovy and classy is its usage of extended harmony. All of this, plus the way he just randomly mentions the dance floor, just makes me wonder what this would sound like as a club banger of sorts for those Persona dancing spin-offs. And of course, curiosity killed the cat, so I had to write my own interpretation of that. Here it comes. Okay, that was actually pretty fun. This portion of the song with Lotus Juice singing is also reminiscent of, the previous Persona games, because there's a slight detail dancing underneath the vocals there. I'm talking about a Hammond organ playing a very smug solo, and it sounds sort of like this. That is so cool. Like, the whole track is a constant battle among the musicians to decide who's the coolest cat in the band. I love that. But also, this is a nice homage to Shoji Meguro's work, because the Hammond organ is one of the instruments that he used a lot in some of the classics from, previous Persona games, such as I don't know how long I've been talking at this point, but it's pretty clear that this track covers a lot of ground. So many genres, so many references to games across the Persona series. It's freaking crazy. And the fact that it manages to do all this while sounding so cohesive is nothing short of mind-blowing. Is this my most favorite Persona theme ever? I'm not sure about that, but without shadow of a doubt, see what I did there? Without shadow of a doubt, this is definitely one of the strongest themes in the whole series. That said, just because I'm a composer for a living, it doesn't make my opinion any more correct than anyone else's. And to that thought, I want to ask you, what do you think about this piece of music? And most especially, do you think it deserves the spot as the #1 most popular Persona song ever or not? Before I wrap up this video, I want to share one last thing for the music nerds. This thing made me so happy. I took that EDM remix that I showed you just a few minutes ago and I lowered it a few semitones, and that just showed me even more how much of a demon Lotus Juice is when he's spitting those bars. It slaps so hard that even the devil may cry when hearing it.
Thirsty for blood,